I'd like to say hello to all the band members and all the community members. We're here today on the road with the Little Bridge. We had a devastating flood a little earlier, a month ago or so. And this was the worst flood that I'd ever seen in my life, going back as far as 1966 when this flooded. I was a young feller then, and nowhere near what this flood was. And it's just changed the landscape totally this time. And glad to say that it's open now. It opened last night, I think. I came down and was hoping to be the first one across, but everybody else got ahead of me. So glad to say that the road is finally open again, and we got with the addition of a few more culverts, just in case a flood like this happens again. I must say that in the past few years there's been a lot of things happening that I think is a result of climate change. 2017 we had the big fires here, something I'd never seen also, and now we have this big flood. And it's possible that the creeks could rise again if we get a whole bunch of rain happening. We have a whole number of things now happening with the band. This was the one that I wanted to talk to you about first. Very glad we had a few band members isolated when this road went out. The bridge surprisingly held out, but the roads on each side of it went, and we had 3 households or more that were isolated for about a month. Glad to say it's open again, and glad to be here talking to you. Cut. One of the very exciting projects that we've started here at Sugarcane since I've been back is the maintenance and improvement of the cemeteries here. Since I came back, it's been one of my things that I've been really wanting to do with my wife Anna is to make the cemeteries look really nice. So for the past few years we've been repairing fences, restoring graves so that it can be maintained with lawn mowers and that. And one of the things that the band council agreed to in the last term was to start replacing old crosses with headstones. And I'm glad we decided to do this, because when we first came here there was crosses that were laying down on graves that we could identify whose grave it was, but just in a year or two later some bears had gotten in here and were scratching at the wooden crosses, and then in a year or two we couldn't even tell whose graves were which. So luckily we got started when we did, and now we're able to place granite headstones so that it'll last forever. You'll be able to identify whose grave it is forever. And I'm really pleased to say that the band council has agreed to provide funding to properly identify the graves so that people will know who is where, you know, for forever pretty well. Okay, let's go down there. I'll just say as a matter of interest, this is still running. Okay, just as a matter of interest, these are the kinds of headstones that the band has purchased. It clearly identifies who it is, and it says the son of or a daughter of, that keeps a connection with family so that people can see who the parents of the person is. This grave site here is William Bill Sellers. Just as a matter of interest, and a little bit of history, is that I was the very first employee of the band in 1972. I was the first ever band manager, and the person that hired me was Bill Sellers. Bill came and asked me if I would accept being the band manager. And before then, there was no administration of any kind for the Williams Lake Band. Everything was handled by the Department of Indian Affairs in town. And this was the beginning of where we are today. I was the very first band manager. We had no office, no phone, no office furniture, and nothing. So Bill was the one who came and asked me. I had no idea what I was getting into at that time, because there was no job description and almost no funding. So I do think I have to say that, considering where we are today, we've come a long way since 1972. And just again, as a matter of interest, Bill and his wife Martha Sellers are the grandparents of our current chief, Willie Sellers. That's Willie Sellers, his grandfather and grandmother, and they were, you know, played a big part in my life, especially starting working with this band. And that's our ongoing one of my ongoing projects for the past couple of years is cleaning up the reserve and making it a showcase cemetery for, you know, for probably many bands around, and I hope we will be an example for something to be proud of. And one of the best parts of this project that I think, and I'm very proud of, and I'm sure that the whole community is proud of, is council decided to buy and install it's called a columbarium. I know before we decided to purchase one, I didn't even know what a columbarium was. I was calling it everything except a columbarium. But you know, with band members these days making changes in the way they have their funerals, and that is many band members are deciding to cremate their loved ones instead of doing the regular burials. And what was happening was people were burying or placing remains, cremated remains, just all over, and there was no regular burials happening anymore. So, you know, talking with some of the community members and council, we thought about the idea of having a columbarium, a place where remains can be put, and you know, people would be able to come and visit their loved ones. And this is what a columbarium is. Most of the columbariums you see are just standard with they look like Greek columns and everything like that. And when I spoke with the people who made columbariums, we decided, why can't we make it more of our culture? So we started talking about putting designs, our own designs on it, and it worked out just fine that we put our own logo on there, and 5 different animals, and it just turned out really good. I'm very pleased with how it turned out. And it took longer than we had planned. One, because of the railway strike delayed it by a month, and then it was winter time, which this thing came in the middle of the winter, and we spent half the morning trying to melt the ice off of this pad here to place it. So finally we have it here, and I'm very proud to say that it's one of the best columbariums that I've seen. Now, what happens is we have 60, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 times 60 niches. You can have two urns, cremation urns, put into one of these. You just take off the cover, and then you can have it professionally inscribed with who is in it. So we have 60 spaces, which can last for an awful long time. So that's all you have to do now is to let our lands manager know which one you want, and you can have it reserved for you. As long as you're a band member or a community member, you can request one of these here. So again, we're doing all kinds of work to make this cemetery one of the best looking cemeteries in the province. And I would like to just thank all the band members. Hope you're all being well in this time of COVID-19. And remember to continue wearing your masks and keeping your distance, because the virus hasn't gone away yet, and from what I'm hearing, we could have a second wave, which could be even more serious than the first one. So wherever you are, be well, and just abide by the instructions that's given by our senior medical officer, Bonnie Henry. So thank you again, and whenever you're in Williams Lake, come out and visit our beautiful cemetery, visit your relatives. So thank you again, all my relations. Kudo.